concluding the Maimon of the second last paragraph. So what did he say? The previous point was the two inyanim. Kamecha kapara is like the motivation, and kamecha kapara is the result. First of all, Yosef has to understand hunach etzla. It has to be, he has to get, even though he doesn't say, Yosef should understand. The point is not to understand. The point is that it should, in Yiddish, ablegen zach. He should acknowledge it, should recognize it. In a way, it's harder for him to understand in the sense, because he's giluyim, his get that is giluyim. The shaydish of the shaydish is the etzem. It's only malchus that has this atmizdike, spontaneous, or not spontaneous, but instinctual. Only malchus has an instinctual connection to pnimius, to etzem. All giluyim do not. By definition, giluyim obscure the etzem, in fact. But now he's being told that the whole atzilus, in the words of the Maimer, kavonas atzol azor, is only for the kavona pnimius, which is Maisa B'Poel, which is Malchus, which is Dira B'Tachtonim. So this has to be acknowledged, Hunach. So through that, then, okay, he's going to be Mamshech, he's going to be Mashpia, not for himself, but for Malchus. And then, V'Oid Bir, that makes it like two Biyurim, as a result of that, he actually accesses this level of the Pnimius HaKesed via his Ashpah to Malchus. But as we said yesterday, that can't happen if that's what the agenda is. It's still about the self. Then this doesn't happen. It can only happen when the Mashpia is Mashpia only mitzad the Mekabel. And again, a litmus test would be if someone else would do a better job. In theory, he's happy to step aside. So if it's only mitzad the Mekabel, then when he's Mashpia, he connects to the Mekabel's source, Malchus' source, which is Etzem or Pnimius HaKesed, and then he gets that Gilui as well. Okay, that's what we're up to. Yeah, that's a summary of yesterday's Nakuda. V'zeu HaKesher, they could conclude the Maimon, and then we'll give a general overview. V'zeu HaKesher, Vigash Lev Yehuda Nafter, the Pashas Vigash. So this is the connection between Vigash and Haftarah. The shaila was that in Vayigash, Yosef is the superior, and in Haftarah, Yehuda is. So we have to say that the Pnimius, even Yehuda, is even in the parasha. And that's what this whole beard has been. What's the teichen of the Haftarah? That Lasid Lova Yi Yehuda L'mayli Mi Yosef. And that's the kasha to the parsha, because ki gam hagoshes Yehuda Yosef, even in the parsha, Yosef ba'ofen shehunach etzel Yosef, hamayli the Yehuda. As we're explaining it, what happens here is that Yosef acknowledges the inyan of bi adoni, and it's only through that kamecha kapare. He said to him, moreover, not only does Yosef acknowledge the mile of Yehuda, but he receives from Yehuda, because Yosef is Mekabel from Pnimius HaKesed. Yehuda heir boyagil the Pnimius HaKesed. Al derech shila sedlavoi shezo yekabel memalchas, as we Mashiach will come. In the cave of the Seviv Geva, the female will transcend the male. That's a pasuk in Yirmiyahu, in the Nevuah in Yirmiyahu. This is what it's saying. It's saying that Zoh be Mekabel from Malchus. Hini Yadu Abir, yeah, the Chak Maruch Mur. So it's known the beer of the Fidik Rebbe. The Mamori by Maschab Abdi Dovid Melech Aleim in his Maimer of Tzadik Tes, a famous Maimer, apparently. Tam Azeh Shem Melech HaMashiach Nikabishem Dovid. So there he explains why is he called Dovid. He's a descendant of David. Why is he called David? Mamish v'avdi Dovid. This is the Haftarah he's quoting from. Who? Kinyoni shel David v'anovu bitl. Because David is about humility. Even though he was a melech, he calls himself in Tilim poor and an Evian, impoverished. And therefore, and likewise, therefore, be my Mashiach. That's why he's called Dovid. And this is one of the Hayom Yoms. Even though it'll be absolutely the loftiest heights, and the spirit of Hashem will rest upon him. And he'll learn Torah with the Ovis and Moshe Rabbeinu. He will be absolutely humble. And learn even with simple folk, with us. So therefore, in light of that which is known, all future revelations, it's all dependent on our Aveda now. Right? As we've explained many times, it's not a predetermined utopia that will descend one day, but it's created by us and through us and determined by us. So therefore, one of the things that's going to that hastens and quickens Mashiach's coming is what's going to be then. And what's that? Mashiach teaching Pnimius HaTorah, which is what we need to do now as the Avodah to bring it about, namely limud ba'afotis HaTorah, learning and spreading Torah, nigla the Torah, Pnimius HaTorah. And to whom, like Mashiach will do then, we got to do now. The simple folk. And moreover, like Mashiach does so out of absolute bittul and humility, likewise us. So we have to spread the mayonis in a way of anova and bittul, of humility and bittul, haino. That the spreading, the learning, and the spreading of it has to be in such a way, not because of the ilui of the virtue that comes about, that is achieved by the teacher and the spreader, as the Gemara says, that one receives most from one's students more than from one's teacher. That should not be the motive. It's got to be because of the Mekabel. That's the whole Makut of the Maimer. And that's how Mashiach teaches Torah, and that's what our Avodah and Achonot, all of that. To explain till now in the Maimer, Bi'adini, that your Ashpah has to be because of me, not because you're the Mashpia. And through this, we will hasten even quicker the fulfillment of the promise. Abdi Dovid melech aleim, and my servant Dovid will be king over them. But Dovid Abdi nasi lehem la'ilam, and Dovid my servant will be their nasi forever. The Bias Mashiach said Keinu b'kodem mamish. Okay, so let's get a quick overview of the Maimer. Oh, to go through each ice will take us a few shiurim. Yeah. So, not interested in that. You'd rather me give just an overview of the Teichen in the front of the Sefer, huh? Yeah? I know there's machlekes here, but the Chaim advocates to go through it, to spend a few shiurim on Chazor. And okay, we'll just give it the general brushstrokes. The Teichen on Yonim, which they do for us in the introduction to the Sefer. So I'll read it. We should mention, it doesn't bring it in the Kitzur here, but the basic shalis of the Maimer were that how do we reconcile completely the parsha with the haftarah? And the answer is Pnimius, even in the parsha, Dovid's Yehud is the mashpia. There's a whole arichas based on the whole beer was based on the Alter Rebbe, because the Alter Rebbe in Parshas Vigash He doesn't even talk about the Haftarah. In Parshas Vigash, he explains the Maila of Doimim, the Beis Hamikdash, which will be built in the territory of Yehuda ben Yamin, over the Mishkan, which was Yosef. It's the Mishkan, the Doimim was at the bottom. And then above it were higher forms of life, Tzemeach, Chai, Tzemeach, and Doimim. The Beis Hamikdash is all Doimim, because all the Maila of Malchus, the Maila of Maisa, so that the Rebbe's question is, you're explaining here the Vayigash to Yosef, and right away the Alter Rebbe is bringing out the Maila of Yehuda. But that's the Haftarah. He's explaining it in the Parsha. Answer, because in the Parsha it's also there. The Biaduni is bringing out the Maila of Yehuda, even in Yehuda's encounter with Yosef. So now, looking at the Kitzur here, the Teichana in Yonim. So there's two inyanim in the bittul of Malchus. Number one, both of them, as we're going to say in a moment, coming mitzad shayrish and etzem hakeser. Number one, in the bittul, it's not gilui. Like a word. The word itself doesn't reveal anything. The doimim exhibits no sign of life. That's one inyan. And the second thing is that Malchus descends to create nivroyim, going outside of self completely to connect to the other. Now Yesod, which is Zah, Yesod is, Yosef is Yesod, and that's the shleimus of Zah, the actual hashpah. So Zah also recognizes the mile of Malchus. This is before Malchus is. This is not biadini. This is hashpah that comes mitzad Zah. It's berotzen. So mashpia willingly, not being compelled. Why does the mashpia want to mashpia? Because mashpia recognizes that dafka by being mashpia to the makabel, this enhances the mashpia. So Zah's only recognize the mile of Malchus because of the gili property of it. That through being mashpia, then Zah will be b'shleimus. And therefore, when Zah is mashpia in Malchus, it doesn't touch the etzem, but only the gili of keser, not the etzem of keser, because its whole relationship its whole definition, identity is gilui, and recognizes that when you teach, or even not even teaching, just on a personal level, when you learn and you put it into words what you're saying yourself, that's when we learn, we have to articulate it for many reasons. But one of the things is, when you say it in words, even to your own ears, it deepens the whole Havana Vasag. It crystallizes, clarifies it, and summons forth a deeper understanding. It's also one of the inyanim of vidoy. Why do you have to say vidoy? Shuv is in the heart. Why do you have to orally confess it? Because when you say the words, I did this, it hits home much more powerfully than feeling it and knowing it and regretting it. It's all true feelings. But actually saying the words and hearing the own ears, no one else has to hear this. But the person himself, so they're feeling themselves well up in a much deeper way. So good. So this is all the mashpia, recognizing the maila of the makabel and what it does to the mashpia. That's like the second point, that the yeredes lahachis or lahavis yasarivroyim. That's the second point of Malchus. But that it's not an inyan of gili at all, Zah doesn't relate to that. Because Zah is only gili. Now these two inyanim are also in Dibur. Also rooted in Etzem HaNefesh. Two things in Dibur. There's no gilui. The word is just a doimim. And the second thing is that the person relates to another. Seichel Midas also only, I just said that Seichel Midas also only acknowledge, can relate to the mile of how Dibur, not the other guy, but how it's for me, it's going to make me understand the concept better. So Dibur also will not draw on Etzem Nefesh. So in other words, saying the words to yourself is actually a better way of illustrating it. Adding something now. Saying the words to yourself will deepen the understanding of the concept or intensify the emotion. But saying the words for the Mekabel is a whole new level. But even then, you could say the words for the Mekabel for yourself. It's also possible. But this is nonetheless, the distinction is clearer here. There's the mile of Dibur Kishal Atzma. That's when you say the words you're learning, you're saying the words verbally. But when you're saying the words to teach it to somebody else, and it's about the other exclusively, that's when it draws on the Etzem HaNefesh. We're clear? Yeah? So this is what Yosef said. Yehuda says to Yosef, Bi Adoni, ki kamecha kefaroi. If you'll give the ashpah because I want it, so then you'll have Etzem HaKeser. Then you'll have the inyan of what? Of Paroi, which is Periya Kol Nahirin. Again, the word Paroi means to peel back or reveal. All the lights, all the oiris come from Paroi. Even though the last section we learned that Yosef is Giloi, how could Yosef possibly understand in Yin Atzmi? His whole Geder is Giloyim, is Giloi, Atzilus. How does Atzilus understand Etzem? Yemi says Atzilus can't. Atzilus can't. But Yosef, who embodies Zohar Atzilus, he's an Neshama. And the Neshama is Musha Shenatzmos. And this is the Arvus, that Yehuda is Peil. That's why he's able to unlock in some way in Yosef the recognition of the Kavanah of Atzmos, even though his identity is locked in Giloyim, because Kol Yisol Arevim Zebazeh. And he gave the two Pirushim in Arevim Zebazeh. And Yehuda is the one that said these words. Anoichi Orev Esanar. And why him? Because he's Malchus. And what is that? That's Etzem Echad Mamash. He explained the two things from the Menorah. There's Miksha Achas, and then it's one chticha, it's one piece of gold. That's the core of it. The Miksha Achas is, the hammering of it is, the upper goes lower, the lower goes upper as you hammer the gold. That's the scholarless of Neshamas. You can't peg one as a head or an end of Mashpia Makabal, because every Aver is both a Mashpia and a Makabal. But that's not the Atzmizdik connection. That's not the level Yehuda is invoking. Because there's still a Rosh Hashanah, still Mashpia and Makabal, still in the world of Giluyim. What he's being paled by Yosef is to connect to Etzem Pnimis HaKesed, that Yosef should understand that the whole Atzilus and all the Giluyim, it's all for the Maisa B'Peil for Amshachas HaAtzmos. Heaven serves earth, not the other way around. Not earth serves you. You're teaching so that it enhances you as a mashpia. That's a classic understanding till Chassidus, which now Chassidus is explaining in the earliest story of Torah. Retroactively, it's a whole new dimension that's understood. What Yehuda is saying is that no, the Gemaldik Chiddush, which shocks Yosef, the Kavan is Dir B'Tachtonim, not Maila. So what he's being paid, and how does he pay it in Yosef? Because since at the end of the day, all the shamish are etzem echad mamish, Yehuda is ma'odah that even by Yosef. And thereby, even that's the deepest touching, that he will connect to the kavana and pinimis kavana by being what? Putting self aside and being makar of another Jew, being mashpia for that yid. That's a yemamshech atzmos, and that's the kavanah. And how so? In Maisa B'Peil, in Tacht, and here in this world, in the lowest state. So the conclusion is v'nimtza, that comes out then now in answer to the original question, that even Vigash Elav Yehuda is already the merumas, the mile of Yehuda over Yosef, that he's the emes mashpia, which is expressed by Goli in the Haftarah. And that's why in Torah, he says at the end, And even though he's explaining the Parsha, he's explaining the mile of Doimim over Tzemech V'chai, because even in the Parsha, it's Bi'adini, the mile of Yehuda of Malchus is already present. Clear? Okay, that's the general overview. The beauty lies in the details, and there's no substitute for relearning it, v'chulu v'chulu, okay, which we need to do.